on this, the 15th of January, 2019. Yeah, we're gonna ease into the bad news today. You know, a lot of times I come right out of the gate with the bad news. I come right out of the gate with the anger and fury. This time I'm gonna ease into it. Start off with a little bit of fun. Donald J. Trump serving burgers to the Clemson Tigers, and now we're in sort of a transition period because we're about to watch this Gillette ad that basically calls men evil and asks them to shave their toxic masculinity. And I'll probably be laughing at it because it's probably awful. But at the same time, what we're looking at is the ongoing destruction of manhood, femininity, masculinity, humanity, basically as a whole, by destroying its component parts, turning us into sexless, passionless, mindless zombies. We'll see. I mean, yeah, you'll see exactly how disliked this video is. But of course, remember that the big tech companies have absolute control over the perceptions of what is on their platforms. What do I mean by that? I mean that in that article you just said, the headline was that there were over 100,000 dislikes on this Gillette ad. Can we pull that story up, fellas? So there's progressive Gillette ad, hugely disliked, gets 100,000 plus thumbs down on YouTube. Let's go to YouTube now and check out this Gillette ad and see how many thumbs down it has now. So this was yesterday, 100,000. Go to the YouTube page. You can just click it there. No? Sorry about that. How many does it have now? Can we zoom in? I can't see how many it says. 12,000? Is that 12,000? 28,000. 28,000 thumbs down. So what happened? Was that headline false yesterday? Was that a lie by Paul Joseph Watson that it used to have 100,000 dislikes? No. No. They reserved to themselves, YouTube and Gillette, they reserved to themselves the right to determine and decide what is and is not a legitimate thumbs down, in the same way that they would get rid of reviews on Ghostbusters or on Black Panther that were negative, because they say, well, these aren't legitimate concerns, these aren't legitimate dislikes. No. We've decided that because we're getting so many dislikes, this must be a troll raid. This must be a, oh, okay, all right. So we found the original version, and in fact, it does have 280,000 dislikes. Okay, I stand corrected. It is wildly disliked. But what I was saying actually still is valid. They do that. They decide that, well, we're just going to eliminate dislikes. There's too many dislikes on this particular thing, too many bad reviews. We've decided that this is a brigade. Now it's being, brigaded. There's too many people doing this in coordinated of a way. So they must be fake. So we're going to get rid of these downvotes or get rid of these dislikes. But why was this so disliked? Well, let's take a look at it now. This is the Gillette Me Too advertisement. Tells us to get over our toxic masculinity. Let's go to that now.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it?
It's likely happening here in bullying as well.
A problem. We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault
The young
and sexual
Turks?
harassment.
Okay, hold on. Pause it right
And
there. Wait. Can we scroll back to that still frame there? It's like they're so bad at doing what they are trying to do. They're literally proving that it is a coordinated attack on masculinity. So we see the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian, expert on masculinity there. I mean, my God, they're going so hard after the liberal progressive idiot demographic. Yes, they have Anna Kasparian, and then it shows how all the other news sites are also saying exactly the same thing. And this is men's fault somehow. This reflects on us somehow that all of these people are telling us that masculinity is evil. Yeah, boys will be boys. And yes, we know that your plan is to, say that acting, aggressive, acting, what did the American Psychiatric Association say? Achievement. If you like achievement, that's toxic masculinity. If you like conflict, if you like standing up for yourself, well, you're just a toxic man. You need to be drugged and castrated. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this video featuring Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks telling us about men.
Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie. Come on.
To say the right thing. To act
Oh, the good brown man telling the white man to stop. Oh, there's there's a black man telling the white man to stop. It's not just men, it's white men are bad. The black men will save us from ourselves.
And small.
See? Oh, here we go. There's a nice black man telling his daughter to be brave.
But some is not enough.
It's not how we treat each other, okay?
Go play with dolls.
Because the
Go wear a
boys
dress.
watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
Oh my God. Stop being, what was that last quote? What was that last quote they just said? It's only by challenging, what is it? My God. I mean, it's only by challenging ourselves to do more that we can get closer to our best. Our best is feminine. Our best is weak. You don't want to be strong, do you? That's not being your best. Being your best is being weak and nice and pleasant. And the fact that they claim to be doing this on behalf of boys, they are destroying boys. They're telling boys that they are naturally evil. They're telling boys that their own natural inclinations are just awful and have to be curtailed and punished. How dare two boys wrestle in a yard? No, that's not how we treat each other. We don't wrestle in the yard. Are you kidding me? That's like all I did when I was a little kid was fight other little kids for fun, and it was great and fun, and we didn't hurt each other. God dang. I mean, they're so sickening. And this is the funny part, is that they have examples in there where, and what they're purporting to show is this toxic masculinity, right? Oh, our culture just attacks women, and it's just so evil and mean towards women and minorities. And they'll show, a clip from a 1950s commercial where a guy's like looking at a woman's like, oh, I like her. Or a woman's like doing the dishes. And it's like, okay, let's look back at the hell world as the liberals and the progressives see it. 1950s, oh, it's just hell, right? It's just, oh, they're telling women to stay in the home and be slaves, and they're stomping on the minorities, and they're just so evil. Go back and look at those commercials. What did the commercials from the 1950s? What's the worst you'll possibly see in a commercial from the 1950s? A man whistling at a woman because she's attractive? A man, being happy because his wife is doing the dishes, and that, okay, that's as bad as you get. What do we have now? We have these types of ads that are blatantly not hiding it, not making it subtle. They're saying you're evil. They're attacking us for the way that we are born. They're attacking us for the way that we naturally are. This would be the equivalent of like in the 1950s, they're not even advertising the product. They're not advertising Gillette. They're advertising their progressive agenda. This would be like the 1950s, a Winston cigarette commercial ad that has nothing about the cigarettes, and it's just a guy talking about how horrible women are the whole time. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So Gillette, as one commenter points out, in less than 2 minutes has managed to alienate their biggest sales groups from their product. Folks, if you, a lot of times really our only weapon in this war is voting with our wallets. So yeah, I'm done buying stuff from Gillette. I don't know if I ever did, but yeah, they are now forever linked in my mind with an anti-male, anti-American, just full-on progressive nonsense BS. Can we go to the? I want to see what the top comments are. The top comment yesterday was pretty funny. We're gonna go to the YouTube video of Gillette here, of that commercial, and see what the people are saying. It's called "We Believe the Best a Man Can Be." Scroll down a little. The last comment, or the top comment yesterday. Go to the top comment. We have, "Hi, I'm Anna Kasparian. I'm better than you." The other one yesterday, it said the top comment was, "My wife's son really loved this ad," and it was actually liked by Gillette, and they said, "Thanks for supporting us." Now they're deleting comments. Over 50,000 wives, 50,000 wives, boyfriends liked this, and people pointing out that they're deleting the comments. That's something that, of course, they definitely do. YouTube and the actual websites will go in and delete dislikes, but the people who upload the videos can actually delete comments. And so let's relate this Gillette just disaster of a commercial to everything else going on in media and entertainment and all this sort of stuff. Because what we're seeing is a hostile takeover of male spaces. Pretty flat assertion there. Hostile takeover of male spaces by far-left, progressive, feminist, and anti-white activists. And you'll notice that not only did that commercial portray very basic male behavior as inherently evil somehow. There you go. Somebody points it out in the comments. 43 men in this video displayed negative behavior, and only one of those was black. 7 men in this video displayed positive behavior. 5 of them were black. So not only are they hitting you with the aggressive, over-the-top, in-your-face, males are bad propaganda, but they have to slip in the subtlety. Oh, the men who are good, the men who will save us are the black men and the brown men. It's really the white men that are the evil ones. Don't think we don't notice. Panjack Bala, who is the brand director who put this together. Panjack. We notice it's pretty obvious. We're really not as dumb or cowardly as you think we are. It's like I'm not a racist, but I'm even less of a coward. So I'm not afraid to say these things, and I'm not afraid to have people say, "Well, he likes white people. He's a racist." It's like, wow, you guys are all sorts of backwards, and I'm not going to let that affect me or change the way I talk about or portray things. Now, Gillette has partnered with the Building a Better Man project, which seeks to reduce violent behavior in men. That's a nice way of putting that. If you go to their website, I mean, just the name, Building a Better Man, is just simply insinuating and saying that they are going to change the way men are from the ground up. They're going to build them from the ground up as better than they were before. That is, they were masculine before. They're going to build them up now to be feminine and weak and submissive. You understand? That is the archetype of, not men. That's the archetype of feminism, of feminists. I mean, they're actually like endorsing that. They're saying, no, it's manly to be aggressive. It's manly to stand up for yourself. It's manly to, believe in yourself and achieve things and seek things out and have ambition. That's a manly thing. They also want women to be more like that. So it's not about destroying men necessarily. It's about destroying the genders as a whole. They just do it with men more aggressively and more overtly. With women, they actually appeal to women and say, "Hey, you're a slave. You're weak if you don't act like a man." They're mixing everything up. But Building a Better Man project says that they want an examination of young men that are socialized in this direction from boyhood onward, and that's the key of prevention lies in changing that socialization and ultimately the American definition of what it is to be a man. So Gillette now teamed up with this group that is trying to change the, quote, American definition of what it is to be a man. What's the American definition of a man? Well, it's somebody who's strong. It's somebody who provides for other people. It's somebody who protects the weak. It's somebody who protects themselves. It's somebody who doesn't take crap from anybody. They're trying to tell you that, in fact, the American ideal of being a man is to be aggressive, to be like mean and sexist and obsessed with sex and all this stuff. And it's so funny that they're like, the liberals and the progressives are the one leading this, the ones who insert sex into everything and who think the only freedom is the freedom to sin. And then they castigate and chastise men for following their own sexual proclivities. They're not any sort of ideological movers. They are destroyers. They build nothing. They destroy what other people have. And you see this, especially with things like video games, movies, comic books, especially sci-fi movies, fantasy movies, things that have been for their entire history relegated more or less to male audiences, not on purpose, but because that's what men are attracted to. You don't see men going into typically female areas and demanding that they stop being female, do you? No, of course not. But you do see women going into male-dominated spaces and demanding they be less male. And what's the result of this? Ghostbusters 2016. That's a great example, where they replace all of the men with women and make it all about women, and it is one of the worst movies of all time. It's supposed to be one of the tentpole movies of that year. It's supposed to be one of the big movies that studio had that year that would keep that studio afloat and make it a lot of money because it had this classic name of Ghostbusters, was guaranteed to be a big hit, but they ruin it with their political ideology, and it bombs to an unbelievable level, even more so overseas. Then you have things more recently like Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5, the Battlefield series is a video game series, first-person shooter, that is historically accurate, supposedly it was, where you would live through and fight the battles of World War I, World War II, real historical battles. That was sort of the niche that this series filled, right? You have other series that a little bit more fantastical, a little less adherent to the historical facts, a little bit more, sci-fi or whatever. You can put stuff in that, but people won't really care. But when you are changing a explicitly historical piece of work, that's when people get mad. So Battlefield 5 comes out, the trailer emerges, and its main protagonist is a disabled lady, a disabled woman, fighting on the front lines. And this basically pissed a lot of people off. They're like, look, we don't care. Like, we know women were in the war. Like, they did things in the war. There were injured people in the war. There were disabled people in the war. Like, we know that. But this shoving down the throat of the consumers, well, now Battlefield 5 is out, and its release garnered less than half of the income that Battlefield 1 did. Then you look at Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics is down over 90% because they went full bore social justice with Marvel Comics. They just changed all the male characters to minority female characters, and they didn't make up new ones. No, they just changed their races and sexes because, it's 2018 or whatever it was. And then and you can even look at the new woman who is in charge of the Amazon production team producing films for Amazon, has said basically that her number one goal is to inject her ideology into all the productions that she does. And then you look at YouTube Rewind, the most disliked video ever on YouTube ever. It is just a social justice cacophony of madness and cringe factor. And this to me is the most effective tool, or the most it's the thing that's going to bring it down. Because I hope that we're all getting to this point that when we hear people just drone on and on about representation and feminism and all this stuff, it's just cringy. It just makes me cringe at this point. It just makes me think, man, you're so weak that you have to demand that other people portray your particular group in a certain way, or else it somehow hurts you. It's just weakness and sadness and cringiness. It's just weird and creepy. But the thing to take away from here is that every single time they do this, they lose massive amounts of money. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about the money. Think about why they're doing this. Harrison Smith sitting in once again for David Knight on this, the 15th of January, 2019. Happy Tuesday to you all. In the last segment or two, we were talking about how Gillette is attacking men, attacking masculinity itself. And we were talking about how this is pervasive throughout not just, commercials and products and companies saying this type of thing, giving in to the social justice warrior liberalism, but especially things like video games and sci-fi movies, places that have been typically relegated to the male audience, is being taken over. Not the audience itself isn't changing. It's being taken over at the very top. They get one or two people in to the top positions and they dictate, their SJW ideology on the rest of the production or whatever it happens to be. And as Travis, our producer, points out, they're catering to this minority of a minority of a minority when it comes to things like Battlefield, like this historical video game where the vast majority of its players are male. They're catering to the minority that's female, but not just that, the minority of those females who actually have this insane takeover ideology, this cultural predation, where they're trying to destroy your culture, which of course is bad no matter whose culture is being destroyed and who's doing the destroying. That's why they are cultural predators. But, I really want to emphasize the fact that they're losing money by doing this. This is not a decision being made because they'll make money. And typically we always say just follow the money, or corporations just do it for the money. And this is a problem I have with a lot of socialists, where they will recognize the inherent evils and things like, corporatocracies and oligarchies and these sorts of things. And they recognize it to a certain level, but it's a surface liminal sort of level where you go subliminal, you go beneath it, and you see that it has nothing to do with the money. The people that are doing all of this are often a part of this elite class that essentially invents money, creates money by typing things on a keyboard. This is fiat currency. This is fractional reserve currency. This is fake money. It's imaginary currency. So, and then what they do lessens their profits, destroys their profits, alienates a vast percentage of their regular customers. They know this. They know exactly what's going to happen when they do this. They're going to be praised by the establishment mainstream media. They're going to be villainized and hated by the people that they are demonizing. They do it anyway because they're waging an ideological war. They are not fighting for profit. They are fighting for their ideology. Their ideology, you have to understand, is control. Their ideology is anti-freedom. That's what you have to understand. So when they demonize males or men or masculinity, it's because masculinity and men are the thing that's standing in their way. Males typically, the idea about males, I guess you could say, is that they're strong, they don't give in, they fight back. That's what they want to destroy. And you can see this. You have to be able to understand this because they literally say things like, and whether it's male or white people that they're trying to demonize, they literally will say things like, the idea that you can make it if you try, that's white supremacy. The idea that you can, achieve anything if you just work for it, that they call that white supremacy because they don't want you thinking that you can achieve things. They want you thinking that you are weak and incapable of fighting back. So you really do have to understand that they're not doing it for the money because they're losing money, okay? They're not actually doing it because they have an ideologically sound, coherent message that they're actually trying to achieve a utopia-like arrangement where men and women are perfectly equal. They don't care about any of that. They want control. They're systematically eliminating the things they see as threats to their control, okay? So that's why they're going after America so fervently, so hard because America is sort of the last bastion of free speech, gun rights, these things that are anathema to totalitarianisms. Free speech and an armed populace and the rule of law, where you can't have, the juxtaposition from rule of law is rule of power, is rule of individual. Rule of law supersedes that. It's above the individual. Okay? So they're trying to eliminate all of these vestigial remnants of the once great society that we were a part of, that is now just being utterly undermined and denigrated and degraded, just utterly destroyed.